This is WJAR TV, Providence. And now, from Southeastern New England's leading news station, News Watch 10 with Doug White and Larry Estepa.
Good evening. All that time, all that money, all that emotion, all for nothing. This morning, the Rhode Island Supreme Court said Claus von Bülow will have to be given a new trial.
The jury finds the defendant, Claus von Bülow, guilty.
Guilty of trying to kill his wife, not once, but twice. Each time by injecting her with enough insulin to send her into a coma. She has never come out of the second one. Since no one ever saw von Bülow do it, the case was built on circumstantial evidence, built around a small black bag which contained the needles and the insulin and found in von Bülow's closet in Newport. The state didn't find the bag. It was given it by the family's lawyer, Richard Q. Today, the Supreme Court ruled that chemical tests ordered by the state on the things found in the bag violated von Bülow's right to privacy. There was never a search warrant. And that the files Q collected about von Bülow were not turned over to the defense. The court said those files were enough to trigger an investigation by the state and an indictment. Von Bülow's lawyer said as much when he argued before the Supreme Court in October.
Evidence that would have been excluded had the search been conducted by the state, yet evidence which it accepts and evidence which really provides a half-truth.
The court agreed, saying the evidence in the bag firmly tightened the web of circumstantial evidence around which the state had woven its case. The state said Q's files were never turned over because they were protected by the attorney-client privilege, but wouldn't have helped von Bülow anyway.
So the defendant was not denied a fair trial because he did not get access to these speculative documents in possession of Mr. Q.
The court rejected that, saying the trial justice was clearly wrong to think the documents were protected by the attorney-client privilege. We are still waiting for a date for the new trial and to find out who will hear it. Von Bülow's attorney, Alan Dershowitz, says he wants someone other than Judge Needham, saying that Needham has said things which raise questions about his impartiality. But Needham also knows the case better than any other judge. It may never come to that. Dershowitz said the evidence that is left is woefully insufficient. He says the only fair trial is no trial. So Dershowitz will first try to have the charges dismissed. Doug?
And how does Claus von Bülow himself feel about today's decision? Well, very much relieved. That's what he told Newswatch 10's investigative reporter Jim Taricani, who talked to von Bülow at his New York City apartment today. He's here now with this exclusive interview. Jim, you got in to see him.
Well, yeah, and he seemed very relaxed today and, of course, in very good spirits. We should emphasize that he declined to discuss details of his trial because he could be tried again. But he did agree to answer a few questions, and here's the report.
Von Bülow has been spending most of the past 2 years here at his apartment on Fifth Avenue in New York. Today, he spent a lot of time taking congratulatory phone calls from friends about the state Supreme Court decision. Von Bülow would not answer any questions about the details of his trial, saying he couldn't because he still could be tried again. But he did talk a bit about himself.
What were your thoughts during the trial as you were sitting there, besides the testimony going on?
Well, of course, I was astonished by so much of it, but you know, when you're suddenly hit, I'd been waiting for the trial for about 9 months then, by something like that, you are stunned to a very considerable extent. If you're guilty, you know what it is you have to hide. If you're not, you're confused and amazed at what people can say.
Von Bülow had nothing but praise for his appeals attorney, Alan Dershowitz. He wouldn't comment on one of his defense attorneys for the trial, Harold Price Farringer, but he did have something to say about John Sheehan, the Providence attorney who assisted Farringer.
Well, I think very highly of John Sheehan, always have, and he's a good personal friend now.
What have you been doing over the past year and a half, and what do you intend to do now? Do you feel a freer man?
Well, yes, answering your last question first, I do, but, and I'm grateful for the opportunity, but of course I have been completely devoted to my own case. I haven't been able to do any real work, and that's been a great hardship, you know, the preoccupation with.
Will you do some work now, some type of work, or?
I very much hope to start working again. We'll have to see.
Can you talk anything about what that might be? What kind of?
Well, I obviously only have some very limited qualifications. I was a lawyer and I was an investment banker. Those are the fields I know about.
Have your friends been very supportive of you?
Oh, they've been wonderful. I would never have been able to face all this without the loyalty of my friends.
Just one last question. I'm sure some people, even people like Attorney General Dennis Roberts, are still convinced that you were guilty. How would you respond to that type of a feeling by some people?
Well, obviously there must be some people I'm certain of. I've only, of course, had contact with, and even with total strangers who believed in my innocence.
Von Bülow says he will be spending this weekend in New York with his daughter, Cosima. And Doug, he says for the first time in a couple of years, so he can go out and socialize and feel a bit more relaxed.
Was there any indication during your conversation that there were any hard feelings against either Roberts or any of the prosecutors involved?
If there are any hard feelings, he's not saying anything about it. He's being very cautious about what he says, again, because of the pending trial, but he does seem very relaxed and in a very, very good mood.
Okay, thanks, Jim. Larry?
Jim, thank you. Pleasure, disappointment, and uncertainty. Those reactions came today from the lawyers involved on both sides of the Von Bülow trial. Newswatch 10 reporter Frank Coletta spoke with some of those lawyers today.
Providence lawyer John Sheehan got his first look at the Supreme Court decision this morning in his office. Sheehan was part of the defense team during the Von Bülow trial.
Well, we're very happy that for Mr. Von Bülow, and we hope this is the first step of probably a long road to completely vindicate Mr. Von Bülow.
In its decision, the court addressed the fact that the black bag was originally obtained not by state prosecutors, but by a private investigator. Part of the court's ruling was based on the fact the investigator disclosed information that helped the state's case, but prevented the flow of potentially relevant information to the defendant.
It's a very dangerous situation to have private individuals going around searching places and then turning them over to the police, and the police, without warrants, having those further analyzed.
This is a victory for constitutional principle, and we believe it's the first step toward Claus von Bülow's establishing his complete and total innocence.
McFadden helped write Von Bülow's now successful appeal.
But we spent so much time, more than a year, in the preparation and actual trial of the case, not to mention the time we spent on arguing the appeal. So it's very frustrating in view of all of that to see something like this happen, and I'm very disappointed.
The injustice of today's decision is underscored by the fact that 4 of the 5 justices on page 55 of the opinion declare the defendant to be guilty.
Roberts won't comment on whether the black bag would be used again should there be another trial, but he hinted he could still prosecute without it.
Roberts says he isn't sure yet whether he'll go ahead and order a new trial for Von Bülow. He has 5 days to make up his mind. That means a decision will be forthcoming from this office sometime early next week. Frank Coletta, Newswatch 10, Providence.
William Douglas walked into a courtroom in Dedham, Massachusetts this morning for the start of his murder trial. Before he could begin, though, the former Tufts University professor pleaded guilty to manslaughter. Douglas was charged with the beating death of Robin Benedict after she tried to end a year-long relationship. Her body was never recovered. The prosecution is asking for a sentence of 18 to 20 years at Walpole. Doug?
A 30-year-old East Providence man apparently hanged himself early this morning at the State Alcohol Detoxification Unit. State Police and the Medical Examiner's Office are doing separate investigations. Thomas Lavery was taken into custody last night. His body was discovered this morning hanging by a hospital nightgown in the detox unit's bathroom. David Kennedy, the 28-year-old son of Ethel and the late Senator Robert F. Kennedy, was buried today in the family plot in Brookline, Massachusetts. A private funeral mass was held this afternoon for family and close friends at Hickory Hill, Ethel Kennedy's home in McLean, Virginia. Late today, David's brothers accompanied his body to Boston. Kennedy, who died in a Palm Beach, Florida hotel room on Wednesday of this week, was laid to rest in Holy Hood Cemetery, the same cemetery where he served as an altar boy for the burial of his grandfather, Joseph P. Kennedy, back in 1964. No exact cause of death has been announced, but experts say they believe Kennedy overdosed on drugs. After a full year and a half of haggling and rewriting at the legislative level, the Greenhouse Compact is on its way to the voters, and they will decide whether the plan flies or dies. Today at Slater Mill, Governor Garrahy signed the legislation. He called the multi-million-dollar economic blueprint courageous and vital.
Compact has been described as bold and innovative, and it is. Today, Rhode Island has the opportunity to lead the nation, just as Samuel Slater did in 1793.
For the next 5.5 weeks, the plan will be sold to the voters. Election day is June 12th. Larry?
Well, Providence taxpayers might save as much as $30,000 because of the way the city's Board of Canvassers scheduled upcoming balloting. This afternoon, the three-member board decided to hold a referendum vote on the Greenhouse Compact on the same day as the city's special primary for mayor. That date is June 12th. Board members say the move will mean the city's polls won't have to open several times. Salaries, police protection, and other expenses typically add up to about $800 per polling place in the city. The board also set official dates for anyone who wants to run for mayor. Papers must be filed between May 17th and the 22nd, and the special election will be held July 17th. The scandal-ridden Providence Public Works Department will be coming under some state scrutiny in the next few weeks. Acting Mayor Joseph Paolino this afternoon got a commitment from Governor Garrahy for some state help to clean up that department. We get details from Newswatch 10 political reporter Tom Cole.
The meeting between Garrahy and Acting Mayor Joseph Paolino was another in a series of moves that Paolino is making to root out corruption from the Department of Public Works. The resignation of DPW Director Joseph DeSanto, followed by indictments of his Highway Department Director Edward Melise, and more indictments this week of top officials in the department, leave that department in a lurch. It also may find those indicted off the city's payroll.
Any city employee who's been indicted for an offense of job-related offense will be suspended without pay. That's going to be a policy in this administration, at least for the next 90 days.
Late this afternoon, following a meeting with the governor, Paolino got what he came looking for.
I think beyond that, I think the other thing that we're talking about here today is some professional help in the management and the operation of the Public Works Department, which we will. I've already talked to Ed Wood, and he's going to get back to me shortly with the names of some people in which we might be able to assist the mayor with on a short-term basis, and also the same thing in personnel.
Garrahy would not say if he plans to support Paolino for mayor when the election rolls around, but there seems to be a genuine personal relationship between the two.
We're both good Joes.
That statement could be an indication of a change in state-city relations. Over the last 10 years, those relations have been anything but warm. But that's going to be changing, says Paolino, effective today. Tom Cole, Newswatch 10 at the State House.
The former shellfish warden in Swansea has been charged with digging quahogs in a contaminated area. William Reynolds was the warden when we did a story on illegal fishing back in July of 1982. He was arrested on Wednesday by officers of the Department of Natural Resources. The officers say he was seen near the mouth of the Lees River with 7 bushels of shellfish. That area is closed to shell fishing. Reynolds pleaded innocent. His case was continued.
Well, another day or two of this kind of weather and the maple leaves will be out.
Art Lake has our forecast next. This is the weekend we lose an hour of sleep, huh?
Well,
Saturday
we
night,
move
is
the sun around a little bit, yeah. And maybe come Sunday night we won't even get to enjoy that extra hour, because that's when the clouds might possibly be getting in. But until now and then, weather's looked pretty nice. The place not to be, because of the ocean temperatures, is near the shore, so that's where we went today, fishermen at Bristol. It's a little bit brisk there. The water temperatures are still hovering around the 40-degree mark, so any wind that moves across the water tends to chill the land area. 59 degrees here in Providence right now. We did reach 64 degrees this afternoon. The low temperature from this morning, 40 degrees, no precipitation today. Our wind, and here's part of our problem, it was going to be light and onshore. It became rather strong from the northeast, easterly direction today, the reason for the lack in warmth in our area at least. The barometer is steady at 30.16, the relative humidity and dew point indicating a comfortable level to our air. 58 degrees now at the National Weather Service office down in Warwick, but inland, where be it a sea breeze or not, it didn't make any difference. It was a land breeze by the time it got there. Lots of mild temperatures at Concord and Lebanon and Hartford. It's 72 degrees still at 6 o'clock tonight at Manchester, New Hampshire. Taking a look at the satellite view of the northeast corner of the country, we can see some rather dark, ominous clouds to the northeast, to the lower right-hand corner of our picture. Part of this national scene, it's disturbance, a thunderstorm activity over the southeast corner of the country. with a trough of low pressure bringing some of those clouds into Pennsylvania, but they're going to stay there. They're not coming our way, at least not tonight. The real frontal activity is still in the midsection of the country. Depicting that scene, here's the front. That front produced a lot of tornadoes and heavy thunderstorm activity in its passage toward the east last night, but it's also moving to the north as well, as you'll see as we go along with some further depictions. But already out for Wisconsin and for Illinois, warnings for the possibility of more tornadoes and severe thunderstorms there tonight. Advancing things into tomorrow night at this time, lots and lots of clouds. The front has made even further progress toward the north, as well as a little progress toward the east. A warm front in our immediate backyard that might bring a few clouds in the sky on Sunday, but it really isn't going to affect our weather all that much. For Sunday, that front will not have made much progress toward the east. There's still that blocking ridge of high pressure along the shore, and it looks like a nice day on Sunday. Maybe as that ridge of high pressure weakens, this will slip in to bring some clouds in about the time of sunset, which is an hour later than we have been having, and maybe some showers to follow late on Sunday night. But Monday right now looks like the rainy day. But for tonight, clear skies with temperatures in the low 40s. Delightful day to look forward to tomorrow. It'll be sunny, and away from the shore breezes, temperatures will be easily around 70 degrees. For the bay, southerly winds 10 to 20 knots tomorrow. High tide time will be early at 2 minutes after 6 in the morning. Tomorrow night, clear skies, even milder temperatures in or around the 50-degree mark. On Sunday, a mostly sunny day, maybe a few clouds, but don't let it worry you. It's going to be plenty mild and rather comfortable. On Monday, looks like a showery day, clearing out sometime in the forenoon of Tuesday, and looks like a sunny but chilly Wednesday to follow. The good stuff stays, we say, sunny and warm for at least 2 more days.
Okay. Thank you, Arthur.
Thank you, Art. Sugar Ray's odyssey to Worcester passed through Providence today.
Frank Carpano will have that story for us next.
All the attention focused on Sugar Ray. What happens if Howard decks him? Cold, flat. That's out.
I'd say the comeback is
yeah.
Pretty much over.
Done, are you?
Yeah.
I mean, it can happen.
Then you forget all about the haggler and the millions of dollars and everything. Sugar Ray Leonard's Star Trek through New England continued today with a stop in Providence. Leonard is a man who still draws a crowd, and an enthusiastic group of about 400 watched his noontime tune-up in Providence. Promoters are hoping that this Touch the People tour sells a few tickets. Reportedly, a little less than half of the tickets for the May 11th bout in Worcester remain unsold. Now, many of those fans in attendance were anxious to express their opinions on the possibility of a Leonard-Hagler matchup. Tonight's Voice of the Fan provides the forum.
I don't think he's going to get beat. He's unbeatable.
How about against Hagler?
No, he'll put him down.
Leonard will beat Hagler.
Yep, no problem.
You think he looks good enough to beat Hagler?
Oh, I don't know. Hagler's good. I don't know. I wouldn't bet on him.
Hey, he looks fantastic. You look good enough to beat Marvin Hagler.
They're my heroes, my two heroes, so I can't say.
I think he'll do good against Hagler. He'll win.
Can he beat Hagler?
Well, I don't know. I don't believe so. I don't believe so.
Get him past Howard first. The NBA playoffs continue tonight. The Knicks and Pistons play the rubber game of their series. The winner will play the Celtics. Houston's Akeem Olajuwon has decided to pass up his final year of college and turn pro. Olajuwon will probably end up with the Rockets or Trailblazers in Portland. And if you saw Newswatch 10's Tim Card today, I hope you expressed condolences. Tim's Sixers lost their series against New Jersey last night. Sixers may have been their own worst enemy down the stretch, committing 7 turnovers in the final 7 minutes. The defending NBA champion Sixers are eliminated 101-98. The Nets' next opponent will be the Milwaukee Bucks. The Red Sox open a 6-game road trip tonight. The first of 3 in Chicago against the White Sox, but last night against Seattle at Fenway, 10th inning score tied at 4. Bob Stanley serves up the home run ball to Alvin Davis, a 2-run homer, but the Mariners went up 6-4, and despite Tony Armas' home run in the bottom of the 10th, the Red Sox came up 1 short. The final, Seattle 6-5 in 10 innings. Well, 'tis the banquet season. Most of the winter sports teams are now staging breakup parties. Each is original, many unique. We attended one from the latter category last night. Coventry High School girls basketball team got the surprise of their life when a tall sportscaster type walked into a small get-together prior to their banquet. We have your limousines are waiting outside. Yes, limousines, that's right, donated for the evening. The Coventry team, champions in the Class A South Division. Their ride to the banquet would be just as exciting as the just passed season. And Carpano was a chauffeur. How about that, Stepa?
I thought you got pulled over for a parking ticket.
No, this was all legit. Complete with police escort, the fleet of 4 limousines made their way to the banquet hall via the local Burger King. It was nice going through all those red lights behind the police car. It was a good time had by all.
You're known to do that even when you're not in a limousine.
No, not me.
Sounds like a lot of fun.
Have a good weekend.
You too. Doug?
Rhode Island has another year and a half to buy back some land in West Greenwich, land it would rather not have. It's a site purchased by Digital Equipment Corporation several years ago when the computer company had plans to build a plant in Rhode Island. Well, that's been postponed indefinitely, as you know, and Digital is offering the land for sale back to the state. New England should have its own emergency supply of oil. Rhode Island Public Utilities Commissioner Edward Burke told New England governors today that the region could be cut off from petroleum supplies in the event of another oil embargo. The governors and Canadian premiers are ending a 3-day meeting in Providence.
Ex-Mayor Buddy Cianci took to the airwaves today.
We'll have that story for you when we come back. Life after public office often entails the writing of memoirs and doing the talk show circuits. And former Providence Mayor Buddy Cianci got his first taste of that today. Citizen Cianci spent 2 hours this morning taking questions from listeners to Salty and Larry's morning celebrity show on WPRO. Many of the people who called in were eager to know if Cianci's going to run for mayor again and pledge their support in the event that he does. The former mayor refused to commit himself on that score, a stance he's maintained since he was forced to resign last Wednesday. But he certainly didn't hear anything this morning to discourage him from trying again.
Still gave me a lot of encouragement and support.
All I say is I wish you were mayor. I wish you were still mayor.
Aren't you nice? Well, unfortunately that can't be. I kind of share your view, but...
I know what happened.
Yeah.
I'd just like to say that I'd see him run again, and I'm sure that he'd make it.
Oh, aren't you nice to say that? Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
The former mayor has said that the only thing that will convince him to run for mayor again is people telling him that's what they want.
That's the News Watch for tonight. Thank you very much for joining us. NBC Nightly News coming up next.
The signs of spring are everywhere this weekend, and News Watch photographer Frank Wildenhain found things coming alive at Barden Reservoir in Smithfield. We'll show you some of those pictures as we say goodnight and have a good evening.